The lawyer's office sat at the edge of a small mountain town, 2 streets down from the bakery my grandmother used to walk to every morning. I arrived early. The waiting room smelled faintly of coffee and old paper. Outside the window, the mountains looked quiet and gray, the way they do before snow. My grandmother had lived here for nearly 40 years. The lodge she ran sat another 15 minutes up the road, tucked into a slope of pine trees. It wasn't fancy, but it had a reputation. Hikers, riders, and tired people escaping the city always seemed to find their way there. When I was 19, it became the only place I had left. That was the year my parents decided I wasn't welcome anymore. It wasn't one big dramatic fight. It happened slowly. Arguments about the choices I was making, the work I wanted to pursue, the people I spent time with. Eventually, the conversations stopped sounding like disagreements and started sounding like verdicts. One night my father said something simple and final. If I was going to live my life that way, I wouldn't be doing it under their roof. So I packed a bag. My grandmother picked me up at the bus station 3 hours later. She never asked for explanations. She just made tea and showed me the spare room at the lodge. I stayed there for almost a year. After that, I moved to the city, built a life slowly, and visited the lodge whenever I could. My parents never visited at all, which is why it felt strange when the office door opened and they walked in. They looked older, of course. My father's hair thinner, my mother carrying herself more carefully than she used to. But the bigger change was how comfortable they seemed. Like this meeting belonged to them. My father spotted me first. "Well," he said with a small smile, "look who's here." My mother nodded politely. "We figured you'd come." I didn't respond. I just watched them take seats across the room. A few minutes later the lawyer called us inside. The office itself was small, just a desk, 3 chairs, and a long window looking out toward the mountains. My parents sat down as if they'd done this many times before. My father leaned back and folded his hands. "So," he said lightly, "that lodge of hers, quite a place." The lawyer opened a folder, but didn't start reading yet. My mother glanced toward me. "It could be something really special," she said. "Your father and I were just talking about it on the drive up." My father nodded. "Tourism's booming around here. With the right renovations, that property could be turned into a real family business." He said it casually, like the word family had never been interrupted. I felt the oddest sensation while listening to them. Not anger. More like watching a conversation that had skipped over several missing years. The lawyer finally began reading. Most of the will surprised me. My grandmother had left donations to the local library, the volunteer fire department, even the bakery owner who used to deliver bread to the lodge on snowy mornings. She'd also left small sums to 2 women who had helped maintain the property over the years. Each bequest revealed another piece of the quiet life she'd built here. Then the lawyer turned the page. "The primary asset," he said, "the mountain lodge and surrounding property." My parents leaned forward slightly. "The property is to be transferred entirely to my grandchild." For a moment no one spoke. Then my father nodded slowly. "Well," he said, adjusting quickly, "that makes sense." My mother smiled politely. "Yes, of course. And we can all work together from there." The lawyer didn't react, he just continued reading. "There is, however, a final clause attached to this inheritance." The room grew very quiet. My father's smile stayed in place, but something about it stiffened. The lawyer read slowly. "The lodge may not be transferred, sold, or entered into shared ownership with any individual who has previously severed familial ties with the inheritor." For a moment, the words didn't fully register. Then my mother inhaled sharply. "What does that mean?" she asked. The lawyer looked up. "It means," he said calmly, "the property must remain solely under the inheritor's control if any relatives previously disowned or expelled them from the family." Silence filled the room. My father's expression changed first. The confidence drained away, replaced by something harder to define. "That's very specific," he said. "Yes," the lawyer replied. "Your mother was quite clear when she drafted it." My mother stared at the table. "So we couldn't," she began, but didn't finish. "No shared business arrangements," the lawyer confirmed. "No ownership partnerships." The finality of it settled across the room like falling snow. No argument, no negotiation, just a boundary written years earlier by someone who had seen everything clearly. My father sat back slowly. "She thought that far ahead," he said quietly. I didn't answer. Because the truth was, she probably had. My grandmother had never spoken badly about my parents. Not once. But she had always paid attention. The meeting ended shortly after. Outside the office, the cold mountain air felt sharper than before. My parents stood beside their car, unsure what to say. My father looked toward the mountains where the lodge sat somewhere beyond the trees. "Well," he said finally, "I suppose you've got a lot to think about." I nodded. Then I started walking toward my car. Not quickly. Just steadily. The road that led up to the lodge curved through the forest. The same road my grandmother had driven down to pick me up years ago. For the first time since the meeting began, the inheritance didn't feel like money or property. It felt like something else. A quiet kind of protection. Arranged long before anyone else in that room realized it was needed.